Alright guys, we got the old little V6 F150 work truck, and it needs inspected this month. So, check the brakes. They need replaced front and rear. So today's video is going to be on how to replace the front brake pads, not the rotors. Rotors are still in decent shape, but the pads are not going to pass. So, first thing you need to do, jack the truck up and put a jack stand underneath it. It's nice and sturdy. Set here. Come over here to my little pile of junk here. Brake pads. Make sure you get at least the golds. You can get the platinums, but golds are the ones that I run. Some way of pressing the pistons back in, because it's a dual piston front caliber. That works fine. Some brake clean to clean everything up. Anti-seize. This is a flathead screwdriver to this side. Actually, I lost it, but to take the cap off and to get the caliber off. You are going to need a 13/16 woo, and some way of breaking the lug nuts loose. Take the wheel off, and then this is a 1/2 inch, if it'll focus, or 13 millimeter, and that is to take the brake caliber mounting bolts off. Let's jump into this. The wheels off, do some inspections on what all you see here. There's wear marks, but nothing here. No lip on here at all. No lip on the back here. And probably won't be able to see it, but it's in good shape, front and rear. Look for your ball joints. Actually, on the other side, my ball joint's got a big old rip in it, so when they inspect it at the dealership, guarantee they're going to fail that, and it'll cost them, like, this inspection is going to be over $1,000, but I figured I'd save them a little bit on doing the brake pads. So all you need is, actually I forgot something. You can either put the caliber up on top here, or have something over here you can put the caliber on. The line isn't very long, the flexible line right here, so it's kind of hard to get it on something, but either way you can either strap it up, ooh, put that there, up off out of the way, or just put it right here, whatever you need to do. And the you just break these two bolts back here. You got one up here, one down here. Break these things loose, and this should come off pretty relatively easy. Just be mindful, you don't want to hang these on these lines. This truck's a 2014, so you don't really have to worry about them breaking, but on older vehicles, just be wary of this, that if you let it hang, it could stretch the line, and if it's old and cracked, you could break it. So it's actually good thing. If it breaks, then you know you need to replace it anyways. Either way, these pads, sometimes these get stuck in here. As you can see, this truck is extremely dirty because we run it. Pads are pretty low, so just putting brand new ones on it, because we know how the dealership is. Some of them are pretty legit with their inspections, some of them are not, and they see this as gravy work. So look at this. I don't know if you're gonna be able to see it, but there's a big old crack right up through the middle on that one. Nothing on this side, but again, they're down, so we're gonna replace them. You can put in my other video, you can see these, you can replace these. The kit comes with them. I just clean them up and anti-seize them, but they do come with brand new ones if you want to replace those as well. With these, make sure your sliders move. They do move, but also every single time I do brakes, you want to take these off, clean them, see how dirty it is. Clean them, pull them out, clean them up, and then re-grease them, put them back in, make sure they're nice and they don't stick, because that'll cause your brake pad to stop. It won't move, so it will wear out a brake pad, and then you're out of luck. be mindful of that. You don't need a whole lot of this. This came out a lot, but just need a little bit to keep it nice and lubed up. Jeez, once you get this stuff on you, it just spreads like crazy, so you don't need a whole lot on there. A little bit goes a long ways. So now we'll put these pads on. Sometimes they get a little fussy here. Okay, that one's there. At least for the F150s, you got two little humps here, and that goes on the inside. And you can see it on top of the caliber here, the two big holes. That's where these little humps go. There it is. Okay, so those are in there, good to go. You're gonna put some, like, they say that you can put some stuff here too, but I don't. I just kind of leave it the way it is. Now we're gonna clean these sliders up. Pull these out, clean them up, and grease them real good. They do make brake lube, but I've had no issues running this stuff. It's I forget, I don't even know honestly what company it is, but I've used this stuff on a lot of brakes and I've had no issues with them whatsoever. So they're good. These are going to be moving nice and freely. They're not going to be locking up anytime soon, so that's good. So now what we need to do is be gentle, because you're going to kink this line a little bit. So be careful with it, and you're going to press these pistons back in. This one, the boot's a little ripped. Well, that kind of stinks, but I'll have to let them know that that boot's ripped. They want to replace it. Oh, that kind of sucks. Either way, what you want to do is you can put an old pad in here. See the two humps? Put your old pad in here, and if you have two of them, you can press them both at the same time, or just go back and forth, press it in, and yeah, once it's pressed in the whole way, it should slide right over top. Also, to add, I usually take the cap off, and that helps, so when you're pressing it back in, they press in easier, so it's not in a sealed line now, it's open, so it'll at least let the fluid go back into the brake reservoir a little bit easier. Alrighty, so you can see there's a mess here. I was able to get this one back in, but an easy way of doing it, I actually sprayed it all down with some brake clean, so I gotta clean this all up after I'm all done here. But these pistons were harder to get pressed in. I did get them pressed in, but I'm gonna go get a new set of calipers tomorrow for this. Well, not a set, the other side's good, just this side. So usually when you do brakes, you want to do pads for both sides and rotors, but calipers you can kind of get away with just doing one at a time. But so this one was really hard to get back in, but it did go in after some time. But either way, this is getting replaced tomorrow. But here, you just put these back in. I got them all tightened up. I actually was just kind of wanted to make sure I got this thing all back together so I can take it to work tomorrow. But yeah, you can tighten these back up. There's a torque spec to these. I torqued these, kind of using my own judgment on them, because I have torqued them to spec before on older vehicles, and they've actually snapped. So just be wary on that. Just be gentle. You don't need to overdo them, but torque them down. I like to put some, as you can see, I got a little too much on there. That stuff, it's insane how much comes out of that. It doesn't look like much on the brush, and then you just keep spreading it all over. But put those on there, not on the threads, but on the rotor, so the wheel will come off a little easier next time. And for the guys doing the inspection on this thing, they'll be able to pull the wheel off pretty easily. All right, guys, this is part 2. This is the rear brakes on a 2014 Ford F150. All right, here's the part you need. Well, you need to jack it up, put it underneath jack stand. You're gonna need some way of breaking the lug nuts loose, and that is with a 13/16, if it'll focus. And it's not going to. Why does that not focus at all? I don't know why. But 13/16, you're gonna need 1/2 inch or a 13 mil. That's to break the back of the caliper bolts loose. Brake pads, some way of pushing the piston back in, and that works great. That's to get the caliper off if it's a little tight, and some anti-seize to make sure everything's nice and easy to get back off. Yeah, let's get into this. Let's rip this tire and wheel off, and this is even easier than the front brakes. This takes like no time at all. So here's the back brakes, and this thing is so dirty. I'm gonna clean all this up, spray this all off with some brake clean up real good. But this is such an easy job to do, guys. All you need to do is take 1/2 inch or 13 mil, take these two off, and this literally just falls right off. Now this is a 14. I think the newer F150s, you can't do that. They have the you actually can't do rear brakes, supposedly, that the rear brake is adjusted with the computer, so you need a scan tool to make the piston go back in. I guess I haven't worked on one, but that's what I've heard. So with this 2014 though, it's just like the old school ones. You just take it off, press the piston back in, you're good to go. So let me take this off, and then start spraying this all down, clean it all up, and show you these pads.
Ooh, smack myself in the face. There we go. Ugh, dirty, dirty, dirty. Wow, it's filthy. Okay, now these brake pads are really easy to get in and out. You can just pull up on this just a hair, relieve the pressure, pull up and out. Look at those pads there. Pretty much nothing left on them. It's a good thing we're getting these done now for the inspection. Same thing with these ones. Now what I do is I put these here.
I'm the wedding girl.
You're the wedding girl. Nice.
And all my fans gave all these flowers.
Ooh, beautiful. So what I do is I usually keep which ones here, and thank you.
Excuse me.
You're excused. And yeah, so I keep which one's which. So this one's on the inside, this one's on the back side. Nice. And this one's on the inside, this one's on the outside. I think actually the pads look exactly the same, so it's no big deal. But what you want to do is you clean these up, and again you want to take these apart and clean them and re-grease them and make sure they're still good. Like these are good, but we're going to re-grease them anyway since we're apart. And yeah, we'll clean all this up because this is really bad. And some of the kits with your brake pads come with new hardware. You can put them on. If you want to reuse these ones, if they're in good shape, you can. Just clean them up, and you can put a little lubrication on them, a little anti-seize, not much, just a little bit, and you're good to go. So I lubed those up, cleaned them up, and lubed them. This is getting all cleaned up. I'm going to put a little bit of anti-seize here, and see if I can do it with one hand while I'm holding the camera, and without making a big old mess. Whoop, that's more than I needed. Just a little bit, just a little touch here and there. And that's it. You don't need much at all. So now I'm going to put the new pads in, and we will press this piston back inside. We can use the old pad here, like this. Press it back in. Alright, so try to do this one-handed. Show you how easy this is. You just pry down on that. Hopefully you could see that. I don't know. We're going to go over and look at it again. And then boom, slides right in. Very, very easy. So these just, you can pry these up just a hair, and you can get, see if I can get, you can pry these up just a hair to make them fit in there a little easier. But all these do is help it slide in and out, and that's it. So now we're going to press this back in and put it all back together. There is no way I'm going to be able to do this with one hand, but you can kind of see the setup that I have here. Just put it on the back here. You can make that, I almost barely missed it, so I'll have to adjust it a little bit, but you want to put it right on the nut there. And usually, as long as they're not seized up, they'll press in with very little force. So if they are tight, like I had on the front end, you're probably going to need the pistons probably seized in there, and you'll probably have to get a new caliber. So be wary of that. But other than that, guys, it should push right in here and then go right back together. So let me give that a whirl and see what happens. So you can see that's the setup. Pressed in very little effort. See if we can break this thing off. Try to do this with one hand. Look at that. Need the little bolts. You just try to keep everything right here. It's easier with two hands, and also right-handed, so this is also a little more difficult than it needs to be. But you get the gist of it. Let me get these things all screwed in. And tighten down. That one's tight. I don't know how I hit that bottom one first try. There you go. Alright, so these do have a torque spec. If you guys are interested, please go online and look them up. Just don't over torque these things. They are not very, very strong. I usually just kind of I've done a ton of these things, so I just kind of use my own judgment on it. But there is a torque spec for these. It's probably not too much, so don't over torque them. You'll snap them right off, then you got to go get new bolts. So let me tighten this up, and we're good to go. And we're tightening the wheels back up. I usually put anti-seize right around here and on the hub here. Just to help it so the wheel doesn't stay on. These trucks, as you can see, we run them pretty hard, so they kind of lock on there when we want to take them off. So that's what I do. I don't put them on the threads, but I put anti-seize on here so they pull right off whenever we need them. Yeah, so the brakes are on. Once you're all said and done, you do not need to bleed these after you're done. Just press on the pedal a bunch of times. Make sure you have good pedal, and you'll be good to go. So yeah, hope you guys enjoyed it. God bless.